So that is our machinery. So now we can go on to the tools and the fabrics that we need in order for you to create your trousers. Okay, so I'm going to go over each bit that you need quite briefly, because of course when we actually make up the trousers themselves, I'll be going into much more depth of what each tool or what each fabric is going to be for, and you'll actually see it done in practice as well. So first of all, you're going to need a commercial pattern. Now these patterns are available from the internet or from all haberdashery shops, but of course these are just a standard pair of tailored trousers for a gent. Now this is a Vogue pattern and it has got, I think, pleats at the front, but it's your standard gents trousers. Okay, now of course, like I say, I'm going to go into much more depth with this of each part. So you need your commercial pattern. You're going to need your fabric, okay, so the main fabric of your trousers. Now fabrics of trousers are usually 60 inches wide. Okay, now I've got here 2¼ meters for my trousers, and that should be sufficient. So I've got my fabric. Now I've also got interfacing for the waistband and where the pockets will be and so on and so forth. So I've got my interfacing there. I've got about 1 meter, I think, of interfacing here, and it's just your standard iron-on interfacing. We've got here some lining. Now the lining corresponds to the trousers here, as you can see, and the lining will be used at the front of the trousers because of course gents trousers are lined at the front, so we'll be using lining for that. Now I've also got my toiling fabric, because of course once we've done the pattern we'll be making up the toile. So I've got my toiling fabric. Now this fabric is like a curtain lining that you can use, or a calico. Okay, so I've got about 2 meters of that, I think. Okay, but it's enough to be able to create our trousers. So we've got my calico there. Now here we've got what's called waistband stiffening here. Now this can be used instead of the interfacing, alright, but it's up to you. Now this will create a really stiff waistband, and this is sewn in. Okay, so you've got to sew this in rather than fuse it in, whereas your interfacing can be fused in. Okay, so we've got that. We've also got actual waistbanding, so it's the backing of the waistband here. Okay, so we're going to be again using that in conjunction with the fabric and our interfacing. Of course you'll see how that's all done later on. So we've got our waistbanding there. Now of course with the sewing machine we're going to be needing different feet. Now I've got here a buttonhole foot, we've got a zipper foot because of course we'll be attaching the zipper, and we've got a button sewing on foot. And of course I do always like to have with me my walking foot. Okay, this is a really great foot, and I use it for near enough most projects that I do. It just controls the stitches, and it's just a great foot to have. Now you don't need this in order to make your trousers, but I do like it. I recommend a walking foot. So that's the walking foot. I'll sort that out later. And that's our feet. Now because of course you've got your zipper foot, you're going to be needing a zipper as well. Okay, now this zip is 8 inches. Now you always measure a zip from the actual coil of the zipper, not the fabric part. Okay, it's the actual coil. So as you can see, this here is an 8-inch zipper. Now with front fly zippers you can have 7, 8 or 9-inch, okay, for your trousers. So of course the zipper that you're going to need has to be the same colour which corresponds to your fabric of what your trousers are going to be. Okay, so that's the zipper. Now I've got 2 or 3 tape measures here. Now I always like to have a tape measure where the iron is and the steam, the press, and also one near my sewing machine. Okay, so you're going to need some tape measures, and of course you're going to need this for when we do our measuring of the body in order for us to make up our garment. So tape measures are going to be constantly used, so I would recommend getting 2 or 3 tape measures. You're going to need your fabric scissors. We're going to need some paper scissors for our pattern and that sort of thing, and also our small scissors. Now these small scissors are called sharps, and they're ideal for slitting parts into the fabric like notches, and also every time you do a stitch you can then snip the fabric off. So of course you're going to need your small scissors as well. Now, like I say, I'm sorry if I go over this very, very briefly, but of course we will be going over each tool in a lot more detail when we come to that tool.